Today's stream was supposed to happen on Sunday, and then it got pushed back. And then it was supposed to happen on Monday, and it got pushed back. But here we are, and it's Tuesday, and it's finally happening. We're doing an art stream for the first time in a while. Welcome to the show. This is Club Corbie, and I am John Porter. I'm the creator of the comic book series Corinne Morgan Corbie. You know what? I haven't done this spiel in a while. If you want to learn all about Corbie, you can do so at readcmc.com, which works now that we changed hosts. We spoke about that on, was it the last stream or the stream before? It's been a while. On the Corbie website, you can learn all about the characters from the comic, you can find out what the comic's about, you can learn how to get merchandise in the store, you can sign up for the newsletter, you can find out more about the streams and what we do here. And if you go to the comics page, there you go, that loads up fairly quickly now. It doesn't just time out like it did before. Okay. If you go to the comics page, you can find out how to get your hands on the 5th anniversary expanded and remastered edition of Corbie issue 1. You can get them, but you can. Okay, right. I've got to do this and not stumble. You can get Corbie issue 1 from a bunch of different places online as a digital comic. You can get it from Teespring, which is our official merch store. You can get it on Ko-fi. You can get it through Gumroad. You can get it from Drive-Thru Comics. You can get it via Kobo, and if you're a Kobo Plus subscriber, you can read Corbie issue 1 at no extra charge. It's part of your subscription. You can get it from the Google Play Store. You can get it on Amazon for your Kindle, and you can read it on Global Comics. There you go. I'm getting better. I don't stumble often now when I do that read through, because I've done it so many times. With practice, you see, you can get better at things. The other issues of the comic, the old versions of issues 2, 3 and 4, you can read on the Corbie website for nothing. If you want to get the original version of issue 1, also for free. Also, it's not as good as the new version. Not by a long shot. But if you want to read the old rough original version of issue 1 for nothing, you can get it by signing up for the Birdy Bulletin, the official Corbie newsletter, which has not gone out in a while, I admit. Okay, I've been really overwhelmed by stuff, chat. I think seasonal depression has really gotten the better of me over the last, at least since I got back after Christmas. It's been like some days I'm doing alright, and some days it's like I just I'm like, you kind of get into like a paralysis where there's so many things to do and I just don't know where to start. But we are making progress, and one of the things I needed to do was, I've got 9 new pages of content that we need to add to the new version of Corbie issue 2 before it can be released. And there's a bunch of elements that I need before I can make any progress with that, and I have been like slowly chipping away at the bits and pieces that I need. One of the things I'm doing is working on new model sheets and new character designs. For some of the characters who are in the comic, they just needed new outfits and additional outfits and things for the material that's going to appear in this forthcoming version of issue 2, okay? There's a lot of new pages, new scenes, new elements. And so this is part of a model sheet for Nimhane, who's one of the main villains in the comic. And it's based off of, if I can bring this up, that's on the right here. You can see the original 2018 version of her character design, and you can see on the left here I've updated it and revised the liner and improved it a little bit to make it more accurate. The skirt never was in the comic. I don't think it was ever actually that short. It was always almost down, almost to the floor. So yeah, in practice, some elements of this were actually changed after I did the model sheet originally, but that's not important. What is important is we're gonna switch that off just now. Don't want to focus on that. Today we are going to just do a bit of colouring. It'll be a short comics colouring stream. And we're gonna just get started here, and I've actually just laid down patches of the new colours to help me keep track, because there are so many shades of grey in Neemhane's design. Like grey and blue grey, and I think like purpley grey and light grey. Because she's like a goat goddess. She's associated with the goat in the comic. So you can imagine that requires that kind of leads you down a road where it's like her design is going to involve a lot of different shades of grey. Now, actually, we could try this. Chat, I remember months ago on stream saying I was not going to. I was playing about with this sort of mirror tool that you've got in Krita. You can hit this button. I don't know if you can see my cursor here. Right up at the top, there's a button. It's like 2 lines in the center of the toolbar here. I'll click on and off there so you can see me activating it. And it is called the horizontal mirror tool. There's also the vertical mirror tool, but the horizontal tool I've been playing around with for the purposes of doing model sheets now. And the first time I tried it, I said, I don't like this. I guess it almost feels like cheating in a way, because what happens is that you lay down sort of your center point, your center line, and as I draw here in colour on the left side of Neemhane's hair, you can see that it also colours on the right side, and that is actually quite useful in terms of as a time saver. So at least in situations like this, I'm kind of having to go over this again because I didn't activate it initially. Should have done that from the start, right? And you can kind of see here, filling in, even though I've gone over this on the left side, just as an example to show you how it works. As I draw on the left side, it fills in the flipped part on the other side. And it's actually really handy, I've been finding, for doing model sheet stuff like this, because if you have a situation where your illustration involves a character who's just like dead center and looking straight at you like this, as is the case with like a model sheet design, it means that I switch it off again here just temporarily. It means that you only have to do half the work. And you can use it like at the line art stage, if you have a character who's like symmetrical all the way down, or elements of them are symmetrical all the way down, then you can go in and just basically just draw one half of the character and put a roll. Save you some time by doing the other mirrored side of it as well. And once I finally decided to stop wearing and embrace the mirror tool there, I was like, wow, this actually saves me a lot of time. If I draw a hand, then I don't know what's patches here, what's gone wrong. Am I drawing in the wrong layer? Oh, there's a little patch here. Get rid of that. Yeah, if I draw a hand, and assuming I want the other hand to be identical on the other side, which most of the time you would if you were drawing a character who's just straight on in this sort of scenario. You know, I only have to draw one hand, and it saves a lot of time as well in a situation like this, because I don't have to worry about constantly going back and forth and flipping the canvas and things. I don't have to spend a lot of time agonizing over making sure that elements of the design are balanced and look the same on both sides, which sometimes I can get really picky about. And so it's not something that I would imagine I'll end up using a lot in the pages of the comic itself. Right? There's limited applications for it, because only occasionally in the comic will you have like a character, say, like looking straight at the reader and they're looking straight on. If you had any other sort of situation where, say, a character's like looking in like a 3/4 view or something, you couldn't really use this tool, it wouldn't work. But for a project like this, you know, creating model sheets, super useful, and I wish I'd started using it sooner. It's really helping me to get a lot of these bits and pieces that I need in place a lot quicker. And I really need to pick up the pace, because, like I was saying at the start of the stream there, it's like I'm chalking a lot of it up to like seasonal depression, and a lot of it is just up to like a paralysis of having so many little tasks that I need to do. You kind of feel like, what should I do? I don't know. So you end up doing nothing, which I can't do. I've got to kind of get going again. If you were watching the streams between Halloween and Christmas time, I absolutely burned myself out redoing all of the old pages for issue 2 for the remastered edition, and we ended up finishing that up at New Year's, and I took a little break for a while. I've never been able to quite get that kind of same degree of momentum back again. I need to be able to sort of find a healthy balance, I think, in terms of the amount of work that I can get done. Without going too far, without going overboard. I need to be productive, but not to an unhealthy degree. And it kind of has impacted streaming as well, because we were doing a lot more streams you know, late last year, and you know, I've kind of pulled back my streaming schedule a little bit. Now we just every couple of days I'll do like an art stream and then a gaming stream. You know, we kind of are alternating at the moment. What did I just do? Don't flood fill that. I said don't flood fill. Okay, and you can see how this sort of blue-grey here is a slightly different shade to the hair. I might end up tweaking these colours a bit, just because it's not ideal to have too many colours that are too similar next to each other. I think they need to, ideally they would pop a little bit more and you'd be able to, the colours wouldn't look so much like they're kind of running into each other, which is a concern. But on the other hand, I cannot mess with the colours too much because otherwise it's going to create sort of an inconsistency in the comic between, you know, how Neemhain has appeared in the past and how she will do in the future issues. I don't want to change anything that's going to be too jarring and is going to cause continuity issues, because technically I suppose she did appear in the remastered edition of issue 1 with her old colours. So I can't change anything too much. Or I would prefer not to change anything too much. Okay, we're going to be on today until about 20 past 5, chat. We're just doing like an hour-long stream today. Because again, I don't want to overdo things. I don't want to overextend myself. And I think it's just better for me just now if I just do a little bit of everything. You know, we do a little bit of colouring, a little bit of streaming. And not do too much of any one thing. And just sort of break things up into little chunks, you know? And I think that's helpful to me. In terms of like getting past what I was talking about before, in terms of like the paralysis of, well, what if I take this on? You start to think, well, if I do this, then I'm not doing X, Y, and Z, so... And then you're like, well, what should I focus on? You spend more time thinking about things than doing things. So I'm trying to get past that by not making it such a big deal. You just do a little bit of something, work on something for a little bit, and that's okay. Now, I should have used the mirror tool here, but that's alright. That's fine. I would say when you're using the mirror tool, it's important to make sure that everything is aligned exactly correctly. If you do not put the center line, if I pop the tool back on, it's controlled by this sort of guideline here. You can see this little icon here, and then the line goes down the center. If you don't align that exactly correctly, then that can end up causing you problems, because it's going to mean on one side the strokes that you end up making with the mirror tool, or that Krita ends up making for you, I should say, are going to be a little bit off. And so if you're like midway through working on something, that can kind of it can end up making some messes that you end up having to clear up yourself. So you've got to be conscious of that. The further on you get into a project, the more I think using the mirror tool kind of complicates things, as you just make little modifications. But in the early goings, yeah, it is super useful. For something like this anyway. It does mean, of course, that any mistakes that you make on one side will also be present. Any mistakes or any little odd sort of nuances are also going to be present on the other side too. So you end up with twice as many little quirks, okay? But on the plus side, you can use the mirror tool to fix those as well, and they'll get fixed on both sides. So you can kind of use it to your advantage. So I'm most of the way through working on these model sheets now, actually. Meme Hen is the second last one I need to do, and I kind of, again, going back to what I was just saying about just doing things a little bit at a time, and not going, what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm trying to allow myself to just do a little bit of work on any given task, and then I can like set it aside. I don't need to spend 20 hours in a single day like working on one single document or something crazy like that, right? I can just do a little bit of work on something, put it aside, go work on something else, and have multiple little things to do going at once, and it's okay that they don't get completed immediately. But I've managed to get one of the other things I needed to do was I needed new model sheets designs for the IC. We did a little bit of work on those on the previous stream for Ruby, Josie, and Max. Ruby, Josie, and Maxie in the IC. And I ended up doing for each of them an updated version of their character model in their school uniforms, but also designed new outfits for them for when they're out of school, which we're going to use in the new issue 2. So all of those are done, and I'm really happy with how those turned out. And you'll see how they actually look in the new pages of issue 2, which hopefully is not going to take too much longer for us to get to. I have 3 all new characters to design who are not like major players, but they appear in the pages of the new issue 2. And I was working on the designs for one of them last night, and I need to finish that work, get the other 2 characters designed, of 2 of the 3, and then those are the last sort of character bits and pieces that I need. The only other thing that I need after that is there's at least 2 new locales that appear in the new issue 2. And I need to just sort of roughly figure out what those locations are going to look like, the environments that the characters are going to appear in. And I don't want to spend too much time on that because it's not a huge deal. I just need to sort of have a rough idea in my head of what the places where these scenes unfold actually look like. I just want to get something down on paper, or on screen I should say, I can refer to. And I think I'm kind of I think this is part of my problem as well, is I've allowed these new pages to completely overwhelm me in terms of the amount of work that's required, and I've convinced myself that it's like they need a ton of work. And I think what's going to happen is once it comes down to actually it's going to be time to draw the pages, I don't think it's going to take that long. I think I'm making it a much bigger deal in my head than it really is. But then again, having done all this prep work in advance, I guess that's going to help. We'll see how it goes. No doubt we'll end up doing some of that on stream as well. We'll end up working on those new pages. You'll get at least a preview of what they're going to look like. Now, for the lower half here, we can use the mirror tool again, and it should work fairly accurately, I think. We'll use the pixel brush as well to help us fill things in more quickly. There we go. Right, let's go. It does get a bit weird when you get to the center line here with the mirror tool. Once you're trying to reach sort of the end point here, the way that it fills it in just feels kind of strange. I can see a little bit of a gap here on this thumb. I gotta come back and correct that, okay? It may be like that on both sides, who knows? Yeah, we're gonna be on until about 5:20 here today, which is it means we've got about another 35 minutes to go. And I wanted to actually be on air a little bit earlier because I always like to be on when it's day out. It's still daytime and we've got some sun coming into the studio here. And there still is at the moment actually. It's 4:45 now. And the sun is starting to set here in Scotland, northeast Scotland, where we are. And yeah, the nice thing about that is we've come a long way, right? It's like a month or two ago, about before Christmas, when it was getting dark at like 3:15. I couldn't stand it. I just could not stand it. I talk about this all the time on stream. Absolutely, like the older I get, the more like the winter time just does my head in. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. It's like at least where I am. Not long after you've had lunch before it's like, oh, it's getting dark again. But now we're at the point where days are starting to get a little bit longer again. I get a bit more. The last couple of days have been really nice here. Had some sunshine today. I was just upstairs a little while ago and I noticed like the sunlight coming in through the windows and I was like, wow, it's kind of like, it's actually kind of warm. I've had some cold nights, but today it's been kind of warm and it's been really nice. Warm for February. Anyway. Relatively warm. So I'm just kind of like, I appreciate that. I think if the winter really, you find the winter really tough to deal with, as I do, as I've spoken about at length now, then it's like, you have to like take those little moments where it's like, when you have a really nice sunny day and it's nice and warm, you have to take a moment to sort of appreciate that, take it in. It's like, again, half an hour from now it's going to be dark again. You gotta make the most of the brighter days when you get them. Okay, so that went pretty well. You can kind of see, if you look down here, you can kind of see that with the mirror tool, we've ended up with little gaps in the side here, so it's not perfect. But it's not always perfect, Sometimes things just kind of go astray. So we've got to go in and fill in those gaps. but we can do that fairly quickly. Then we can go back to the line art layer. And yeah, that little wiggly bit on the thumb here is on both sides. I suspect if I try and fix it using the mirror tool, it might cause more problems. I don't know, I've just got a hunch. So, well, we could try it. Let's see what happens, right? Make this little correction, like that. What happens? Yeah, see, it didn't really fix it right. That's what I was thinking. I just had a feeling and I'm like, it's not going to work. Something somewhere might just be a little bit misaligned. And there's little gaps here. Again, see if I try and fix this one on the left, it doesn't really fix it properly on the right. So what we've got to do is turn the mirror tool off. Okay, then we'll go back. What I'm going to do is turn the mirror tool back on and we'll try and color in. I'm kind of disorganized here. You get a new follower? I'm sorry, I should get a notification now when I get a new follower, and I heard the sound, but I didn't see anything come up on screen. So something's messed up, but I'm assuming that we got a new follower. Thank you for following. How is my system not set up for that? What have I done wrong in OBS? Alert box, it says this on there. That's strange. I don't know what that's about, but thank you anyway. So again, we're gonna go on this detail with the mirror tool on, and it should go on the other side. And it's funny that I was so dead set against using this tool, and I almost felt like it was like cheating. And now I'm like, no, this is actually kind of fun. To be able to see part of the work being done. Sort of like in duplicate. And you realise how much time you're saving by doing it that way. Now there's a little detail here. I'm going to sneeze, chat. Hold on, excuse me. I'm going to mute the mic for a sec. You know what? No, I'm not going to sneeze. That was strange. I was sure I was about to sneeze. It's like, quick, mute. I'm okay. Streamer fears. That's going to be pretty high up the list, right? Is one thing you never want to find yourself doing is like loudly sneezing when you're on air, because you don't want to like blow anybody's ears up to, you know, wearing headphones or whatever, especially. You know? So you're always like, if I feel like it's coming on, I will like hurriedly We've each trying to hit the mute button. And so far, to my credit, I think I've had like 100% success rate. I don't think I've ever done like a big sneeze on stream. Now, one of the things about using the mirror tool, of course, is any corrections that you make on one side that where you're not using the mirror tool are not going to be reflected on the other side. So, it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. So, little changes that you make on one side, you got to remember to either make the exact same change on both sides, or it's going to result in things not quite going right once you start to use the mirror tool again. What I mean by that is I should try and explain myself more carefully, okay? Say I notice like one of these thumbs, kind of like as what happened earlier. If one of the thumbs, I make a change here and just like smooth it out, and I don't smooth it out on the other side, then when I go back to make further changes, things might not be exactly in place on both sides. So beyond a certain point in the process, so these vocals are, I don't like having vocal tracks on and having somebody singing when I'm trying to talk. There we go. Okay. Yeah, beyond a certain point, not everything in the illustration is going to be mirrored as well. So, like for example, the scarf here obviously isn't symmetrical on both sides. So everything's not going to be like one and one down the middle. So it is a really useful tool, and I know I keep going on about it because I'm kind of fascinated by it now. But like at a certain point, you can only at a certain point you're on your own basically, and you have to go in and make additional changes by yourself. Now my pen is acting very strange one here. What's that about? No. Really weird. Krita is a bit odd like that. If I tilt the canvas, is that better? No, it's still doing it. Again, these very thin strokes instead of the strokes that I want, which are thicker. Oh, I'm using the wrong pen, that's what it is, John. So I'm really hoping that as we sort of move out of the winter time and into the springtime, we can get into much more of a natural rhythm with the streams, right? Okay, just take things a little bit at a time, just now, as I was saying. But for the moment, the plan is sort of, we're sticking to sort of what we've been doing, which is kind of, we do a stream every I'm trying to get to the point where it's like we can at least do something every other day, and we're kind of going to alternate so that you know, every second stream is like an art stream or, you know, a gaming stream, and we kind of go back and forth and switch. And the gaming streams obviously end up being a lot longer than the art streams, so I guess that's an issue too. It's kind of just the nature of things, really. But what we used to do was, for a long time, we were doing, well, for a while, we were doing like 3-hour streams where the first hour I would be doing art, and then the second hour we would do something else, and then the third hour we would do a little bit of gaming, and then I kind of worked for a while and it felt good, and then eventually it just became, again, it's like what I was just saying about trying to do too much and how things can become overwhelming if you take on too much. Once you feel like you're obligated to do 3 hours every time, I know some people can do it, some people stream for way longer than that, and you know, good for them. It's a good like skill to be able to have if you can, if you've got like the staying power for it. But as I start to do more of the 3-hour streams, like the pressure of that commitment started to weigh on me, because you start to feel like then every stream has to be like a 3-hour stream or more, and I have to balance my streaming schedule with actually working on the comic too, and just other like day-to-day stuff, you know. So I found that it wasn't working, or it had it I think it can work, but at the moment it doesn't. Part of it goes back to, again, what I said about I don't like to be in the studio where it starts to get like dark and cold. So in order for me to do like longer streams, I have to find like a couple of hours in the middle of the day where it's daylight, and I can fit that in. So, you know, what that means is, as we get into like springtime again, maybe we can go back to doing like longer form streams, like with that kind of format, like we used to. But for now, just taking it one day at a time. How are we doing here with Neemhain? We're going to do the eye color. I'm going to try to do the eye color. I thought I used the picker tool there and it didn't actually pick it up. Okay. And what I haven't been doing with the model sheets is I don't do like any kind of fancy shading or anything like that. I just get the flat colors down, and sometimes there are instances where I do need to have the shading or elements of the shading sort of included in the models, so that when I look back to them I can say this is how it's supposed to look in a comic. Like, for example, all 3 of the members of the IC were wearing like leather jackets, which I was rendering in like an off black or like a charcoal grey, but it just didn't look right on its own. It was like kind of flat looking, and I needed to add like the black shading elements to them, and then it looked right, and I was like, okay, now it looks correct. So I did add that, but most of the time I'm just like, just get the flat colours down, because again we're trying to just do these very quickly, and they're just for my personal reference, right? So it's about sort of figure out what the colours are, and then this key at the bottom, these squares here, you can just see the squares here. Usually they're done when all the layers are on. There's like a table here, and it shows you which colours are used, and also has the colour numbers, which are, we spoke about that before, from the Comical palette, which was a comics company from the 1980s. And they have a palette of, I think it's like 384 colours that they used, which was a lot at the time for comics printing. And now, of course, you can use as many colours as you want, but I wanted to scale back and just go to that very sort of limited old school palette to give the comic kind of like a more of a retro vibe, to make it feel like it's like a comic that could have come out in like the 80s or the early 90s. So I have the colours picked out at the bottom here from that pre-existing palette, and those are the ones that we're using here on Neemane. It's been kind of been an interesting challenge to adapt all the colours that are used for all the characters to use with that limited palette. One of the challenges that I found was in sort of in old Corbie, if you prefer, everybody had like different skin tones, different colours used for skin tones. You have really limited so you have really limited options as far as if you're doing like Caucasian characters in when you're using the comical palette. You only have 384 colours, and the one that I'm using here for Neemane is basically the one I'm using for all the Caucasian characters in the comic, which is not ideal. I would prefer to have a little bit more variety, just to stop everybody from looking the same, and for viewer identification as well. It helps you to be able to tell who's who. But so far, everybody's been using the same skin tone, and as we get into the cast continues to expand and we have more diverse grouping of characters, eventually of course we'll select other skin tones as well for them. One of the things about Corbie is that a lot of the characters that appear in the early goings are relations of Corinne herself, so it's like you have her dad, and then you have her grandmother, and then you have like her ancestors. So there's like a lot of them are of like Celtic origins, so everybody sort of ended up having it's from the same family tree, right? So in terms of like ethnicity, we haven't had we haven't had a very diverse mix yet. But I think what's going to happen is as more characters are introduced, you're going to see that's going to change a lot, and we'll have to figure out how that's going to work as far as the using these limited skin tone palettes and making those work. And if they don't work, then I'll just say, you know what, I can pick other colours outside of the palettes to make those work. But it's interesting trying to make everything in terms of like colouring work within these confines, and you have to be a bit more creative. I never explained, by the way. So this obviously on the left, if you're a reader of Corbie, you know that that's like how Neemane usually appears, right? This is her normal attire. In issue 2, this is kind of not a huge spoiler, but this is going to affect what's going to happen in issue 2, right? So in the scenes that Neemane and Maka appear in, Maka is Neemane's sister, and they sort of materialize in. I don't give too much away, John. Okay. They appear in issue 2. They're wearing these sort of like robes with the hoods to disguise their identities. So I had to come up with these robe designs, and Maka's is fairly close to what Neemane's is like here, except for this sort of center design, which is similar to the emblem that appears on her belt here, and so it influenced the design of the robe here. And this bit here, you might be wondering what is going on with this face, because we haven't spoken about this, okay? When Neemane and Maka appear in issue 2, I could be wrong, I don't think we see them with the robes down, with the hoods down, I should say. So the hoods are always up in issue 2, and to keep their identities a secret, the robes stay up, and these have these sort of abstract sort of horrific sort of faces, these glowing eyes and mouth, They just appear through the hoodie. They conceal what they really look like, so that's what that's about, by the way, if you were wondering what this stuff on the right is about here. I'm talking too much, I should be get back to work, John. Okay. I still got the boots to do. Now, if I pop the old character design back on, but that doesn't help me. Okay. I wanted to see how the belt design was supposed to go. The belt design is only sort of partially visible there. That's okay. It's something like this. And then we'll do the center, so the emblem that we were just talking about. Fill that in as well. And you can see it must be a little bit off center because a little bit of overspill there. I could have done this with the mirror tool actually as well, but you know, when you're dealing with these very little details like this, just filling in small areas of colour, you don't need the mirror tool as much, right? You're not saving as much time. I'm going to shut up about the mirror tool. This whole stream has just been me going, "Yeah, the mirror tool is actually great. I take back everything I just said about it." Yeah, I try not to, or I am trying not to get too hung up about like, you don't have to do everything the hard way, you know? And very often I think my thing is when you have to do things the hard way, like it's character building or whatever. It's very important I draw everything in this comic. The most difficult way, I find the most difficult, challenging way of doing things, like otherwise I'm not being authentic or something, probably like that. And like, it's okay to have tools and processes and things that help you as long as you're the one drawing it, right? You know, I'm not big on all that kind of like generated malarkey. I'm not gonna like assign a computer to say, computer, go draw the comic for me, right? That would defeat the purpose for me. I really take the fun out of it. If you have like little digital tools and things and like processes that you can put in place that help you in terms of taking on like a project the size of Corbie is just a huge undertaking for anybody, and it's like especially for me. And again, like I said, I kind of end up doing everything the hard way because, as we've spoken about on stream many times, I'm really stubborn and I want to do everything myself. So it's like, John, why don't you just pay like an artist? Why don't you pay an artist or pay a colorist or pay a letterer or any of these things, and you could like offload the burden to somebody else to do all this stuff? And it's like, because I like all those aspects of making comics. I genuinely do. The only aspect of making comics I think that I used to hate was inking. When I was inking by hand, you know, on paper, is I could never I can never enjoy inking because it's like it requires you to have such a steady hand and to be so precise, and I'm too nervy and too afraid of making mistakes, I guess, you know. And so inking never really sat well with me, but every other aspect of making comics, like the writing comics, drawing comics, colouring comics, lettering comics, I love all of it. And it would be hard for me to delegate that to somebody else. Also, you got to remember that I started making comics when I was like 6. Not, you know what I mean, like the way that kids do, right? And I just kind of never really fully stopped. And so I'm not used to handling all these components myself. I don't know. Like, never say never, but I don't know how I would feel about to have it if I ended up going down the road of collaborating with other people and making Corbie into like a team project, you know. And nobody's ever offered to, by the way. Nobody's ever said, John, let me write your comic or something, and you just can focus on writing and you'll get more done. Nobody's ever come out of the woodwork to ask me or, you know, offered anything like that. So it's not on the table at the moment. It's not like a thing that's actually has ever really been under consideration, and I don't know that it ever will be. So, you know, we're not going to worry about it. But what that means is, because I'm so insistent on doing everything myself, is I have to have processes in place that allow me to do things more quickly, and I have to be able to make sort of creative sacrifices as well. And this is something that I've learned very stubbornly. You know, it's taken me decades to get to the point where it's like I finally can accept this is like John, it's like being able to be honest with myself and say, John, if you're really gonna do everything by yourself, then you're gonna have to find ways around things. You know, I mean, you can't. That's kind of why we ended up going in the direction that we are, where the comics ended up with a much more old school vibe. It's much more cartoony, and I don't want every panel to be like an agonizing, like a pin-up thing where it's like I'm doing excessive rendering and shading and all this kind of stuff, right? Because it just is not viable, and it's something that's been like a bitter pill I have had to swallow. But this is the reality of the situation, and we saw when we did the remaster of issue 1, when I actually started to apply those principles a bit more, I was able to get the new pages for issue 1 done like really quick. Relatively speaking, I could turn those out. It didn't take me, like months like it did, when I was starting out. It's like I could do them in like a week or two. I could take them from script to getting the art done and the colours, the letters, and it was like a couple of weeks for me is pretty good if you consider that I'm handling all those different aspects of the process. Anyway, right. Chat, I think we may be wrapping things up soon. How are we doing for time? We have just over an hour in. Chat, this is crazy, but I wonder if we use this purple for the shading here. I know I said I don't want to do like excessive shading on these model sheets. I wonder if we use this purple that we're using for the lips and the belt. This would be a good fit for the shading here in the back of the hair. How that's going to look. I wasn't really thinking about that. It kind of works. I could get used to that. Chad, do you know the scene at the end of Planes, Trains and Automobiles where it's like the ad exec guy is just he's looking at the advertisement and he's just like tilting it and looking at it in different angles and he's just like considering it and he just keeps moving it and staring at it and like contemplating, and he's not saying anything, just like You know how often I have to do that in comics? I'm just like staring at something on the page and I'm just like, do I like this? And I just keep looking at it and looking at it and I'm trying to think, does this work for me? That's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm kind of thinking, do I like this, the backing color on Neemhain? And I don't know. Maybe if we could just pop in a lighter color, maybe that would work better. How about this? Now that's worse because this stuff like shadow. I think it blends too much in with the outfit as well. I might end up picking a different shade altogether for this. I'm gonna have to go away and figure out what I want to do with that. Maybe I'll just pick a different colour from the palette, one that I feel is more appropriate. But isn't it interesting though how we ended up with a colour scheme for Neemhain here that is different to on the right, the original one. Right? It's kind of, but it's in the same spirit. You can see how it has more of like an old school comics vibe than the original 2018 model did. So what's going to happen is I'm going to go away and I'm going to get something to eat. But at some point in the next day or two I'll come back to this and I'm going to do I'll have to come up with a whole new colour scheme for the robe as well. The robe that Neemhain wears in issue 2 is going to be like a different colour scheme than her actual attire because Maka's was. I don't have the file with Maka's new model sheet to hand, but you have to take my word for it. We ended up going with a completely different sort of set of colours. So Neemhain's robes will be in different colours as well, just for visual consistency, right? They're not going to be the same as the colours that we've just used. The robes will be something different entirely. I'm gonna go away and do that, and next time we do an art stream, I don't know, we won't be doing this, we'll be doing something else. Maybe I'll show you what the new characters look like who appear in the new version of issue 2, or we might be on by that point to doing work on locales, but I've got to, like I said, I've got to have a few settings that I have to go and develop. And I'm really looking forward to doing that because it's not something that I've ever really sat down and done by hand before, but I think that might be how I want to do it, is just do sort of like the cartoony sort of locales, observed environments for the scenes that are going to take place, the new material that we're adding for the remaster of issue 2. So that might be different. We do a lot of character work on stream. It's like I'm doing character designs and things like that. Or sometimes I'll be working on pages of the comic, actually doing the illustration or doing the colouring for it or something like that. But we've never done concept art for just like locales that appear in the comic. That's something that's never been done on stream before, that I've ever done, I mean. So that could be different, that could be interesting. I don't know, maybe I'll suck at it, maybe I'll be really bad at it, who knows. But you know, that's how you get good at things, is you suck at it and then you keep going until you don't suck at it anymore. So you get better with practice. It's like what I was saying, right? It kind of ties us back to the beginning of the stream where I was talking about when I do my my plugging, my spiel at the beginning of the stream, and it's like the first couple of times I did it, I used to really stumble through listing off all the places where you could read Corbie, and now I can do it. I can just go boom, 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 because I've done it so many times. I know exactly what I'm going to say. And it's the same with things like this as well. It's the same with making art. And my gosh, has it gotten dark outside here? While I've been talking here, it's just the sun has set, and now it's like really, really dark in the studio here. I've not got the lights on. I've just got the lights of the monitor here. And soon it will be completely dark outside, and I can't stand it, chat. I can't stand it, but it's the 13th of February. So, you know, 2 weeks from now it's going to be 27th of February, and at that point we're almost at the end. There's 29 days in February this month, he said, looking at his calendar. The 2 more weeks basically of February, and then we're into March. And by the time we're into March, as far as I'm concerned, as I've said before, it's officially like springtime. To me, anyway. And winter's over at that point. It is done. Finished. So, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to being done with this and not having to worry about trying to keep the house warm and trying to keep myself warm and never seeing the sun out and all this kind of winter related nonsense like that. It's I've had it with it. So, you know, I don't think I've ever been more excited for winter to be over, to just get into the springtime, but I am this year. And as we, like I said, as we move into the springtime, I think we're gonna do much more stuff on stream. I'm gonna build back up to having a consistent streaming schedule, and also in the springtime, I feel pretty confident in saying Kirby issue 2 is going to come out, right? And that's going to be exciting too. The new Kirby issue 2. As I keep saying, I keep referring to it as the new issue 2. I've got to differentiate from the old issue 2. And I'm really looking forward to getting that out as well. And that's I think that's just one of those things that's helping me get through, is just knowing that it's going to be exciting to actually get these pages done. And once we get these 9 new pages done, it sounds like a lot saying it, but 9 new pages to draw and colour and letter, I suppose. Like I said, I want to power through them, get them done. Then I've got to do the new cover, and that's it. Then we're ready to go. Then we just put the comic out and it's done. So with that said, I've rambled a bit more than I thought I was going to do. The less often you see me, the more I have to say, the less I have like awkward silences I can carry on. uninterrupted for much longer. But that's going to do it. Thank you for being here with me. I know I have not been on as much recently. I do intend to be more consistent. Like I said, I've just got to take things a little bit at a time and not allow myself to get overwhelmed. But it really means a lot to me. Thank you everyone who's been following me on Twitch as well. Thank you to everybody on YouTube for subscribing as well on YouTube. And we will be back. I don't think we're going to do a stream tomorrow. I could be wrong though. You know, stranger things have happened. But I imagine the next stream we're going to do is going to be a gaming stream, probably Thursday. I would imagine Thursday afternoon at some point UK time we'll do like a gaming stream, and hopefully we can get the technical issues ironed out. We did last gaming stream that we did. A helpful chatter pointed out to me that we had like some sound issues like halfway through, so we got that ironed out, and it's like, I guess I'll know for next time, so I chalk it up to experience. And we're going to go back, I imagine, to playing SmackDown, but also we're going to play some other stuff as well. I could still go back at the stores. There's plenty of other games we could play. I did not enjoy playing that Midway Arcade Classics, by the way. In that respect, it's like that. It's like that. Every game I played, it was just like, I guess it's because they're arcade games. It's like I was just losing at them all one after the other, and you're meant to lose at them, so you put in more money. They want you to die quickly. So that was like a bad select. I prefer games that I could just sort of play on stream and have fun with, and I'm not going to be dying constantly. So you can kind of see why SmackDown's better for me. I'll find some other titles first to play, so and we'll keep mixing it up. And I think that's about it. So yes, thank you so much for being here with me. It's been really fun today, and it always reminds me how much it's like, again, streaming can kind of feel like overwhelming to stay on top of and to keep turning up. Through the winter time for me, it's really tough, but I always enjoy it when I'm on and I'm actually here and doing these sessions like this. So we will be back, and I will see you next time. I can't turn off today for some reason. I've been doing the wrap up really hard, but thank you, and I will see you on the next edition of Club Corbie.